I'll call the city council meeting order. It's 5 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Fetch?
Yes.
Feltus?
Yep.
Mason?
Yes.
Wojni?
Yep.
And Colstead.
Be here. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Verification of posting.
The agenda was posted at City Hall, stating Arcadia, Arcadia TV at the Times on the city website on the 16th of October.
I had the 15.
We're trying to.
The what?
The 5th. It was repost.
Yeah, we had to adjust a few agenda items. So do you have the most current?
Well, I
agenda?
don't know, I've got 3, I've got 2, so.
Is it dated 10/16/18 at 8:37?
No, I've got 10/15, 3:35.
Okay, that's not. Please make sure that your agenda has 10/16 on it. If not, let me know and I'll get you one.
Marlis.
Well,
We were trying to move this along because you might be one of the bigger brewer fans here. So.
okay, let's do it then.
I got a 15 too.
I got 10:15,
Cold up there, huh?
11:01 at 12 a.m. or something.
Alright, we have a 13-item agenda and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Feltus, second by Mazak. Comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Whoever needs it.
Me?
Colstead? Yes. Fetch?
This one is out. Yeah.
Feltus?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Wojni?
Yes.
Motion carries. Public comment? All right. Brett, the floor is yours.
All right, well, there should be enough for everybody there.
I told him he's got to keep it under 45 minutes, so hopefully you guys don't have much going on.
It gets to be about 40 maybe, so if I get too winded, just give me the sign. I couldn't even, well, last night we did the forum and they had the time card right in front of me and that's the last thing I looked at. And they were buzzing the buzzer every time because I wasn't watching it. But thanks for your time here tonight, and I apologize that I missed the last meeting. I was in town at 5 o'clock and I was in town at 5 o'clock. I'd been knocking on doors, and so I thought I'll eat supper, and I drove out to Lewis Valley where I used to have a farm, and just wasting time thinking I had to be here at 7, and checked my calendar at 6 o'clock and realized that I missed it. So I thank you for letting me come back here and do this again. So I'm a lifelong resident of the village of Oliva. First of all, my name's Brett Semmingson. I'm candidate for sheriff here. I'm a lifelong resident of the village of Oliva, and I'm married to an Osseo gal. We've been married 27 years, and we have 2 children together. My daughter is married to a Whitehall native, and they teach in the Whitehall School District, and they have a son together. My son, Brandon, we lost him about 4.5 years ago in a snowmobile crash, but I think it's fair that I mention him as a child of mine. He was very involved with our fire department and our first responders and our Broiler Fest up there, and he dedicated community service like I am. So I like to mention that because I think that shows the parents' ability to raise our children. So I'm a 1985 graduate of Oliva Strum High School, and from there I went to UW-Eau Claire for 2 years for computer programming. I realized that probably wasn't for me at the time, and I left the UW. And in 1988, I enrolled in the Chippewa Valley Technical College for Police Science. And in July of 1989, I became a certified police officer in Wisconsin, and I was hired by the sheriff's office that very same day. And I've been there ever since. I've also worked part-time for Osseo, Strum, Oliva, and Whitehall police departments and every festival in the county here. So at the sheriff's office, I started out as a jailer and a dispatcher. They were together at that time. And then about 8 months into it, I was promoted to a jailer, dispatcher, traffic officer. So I split the time between the road and the jail. And then for 16 years after that, I was a traffic officer in the county, patrolling the roads of both the north and the south zones in this county here. In 2008, I was promoted to sergeant. And in January of this year, I was promoted to captain of operations. And I currently oversee the traffic division, courtroom security, the officers that are in the DARE position, the bailiff position, evidence processing, as well as civil process. So, while at the sheriff's office, I became certified in the SWAT team. We call it emergency response team, but basically it's typical of a large agency SWAT team. I'm a crash reconstructionist. I sit on the Trempealeau County Highway Traffic Safety Committee as well as the Trempealeau County Domestic Abuse Task Force Committee. among many other certifications I've gotten over the years. So, outside of the Sheriff's Office, for 31 years I've been on the Leva Fire Department. I served as chief for 10 years on that department, currently in my 9th year as treasurer. I'm sitting on the Leva Village Board. In my 9th or 10th year right now. I did a 6-year stint back in the 90s, and I'm in about my 5th or 6th year now again. I'm on the village board in Leva. And I also sat for 6 years on the Leva Strum School Board. I'm a member of the Leva Rod and Gun Club, as well as the County Associated Rod and Gun Clubs, and treasurer of the Trumpeldor County Fire Chiefs Association. So I've had my hats in a lot of different places, and a lot of them at the same time, it seems. While on the school board, though, I was involved in policy and procedure development and update. Every year we reviewed them, and I've been involved in employee conflict resolution, employee contract negotiation, and as a sheriff's patrolman, I was the head of the union where I did the same thing from the union side. I negotiated contracts and mediated and resolved conflict negotiations with the county personnel bargaining committee. And both the school district and the sheriff's office often commended me on how I was willing to work with both sides, no matter what side I was on. So I pride myself on that. And the reason I mention all that outside activity is because the sheriff doesn't sit in the jail. He doesn't turn the keys in the jail. He doesn't dispatch. He's not a patrolman, and he's not an investigator. But he has to oversee all of that. He has to make sure that the people are in place in the jail. He has to make sure that the dispatchers are there, that they're trained, that the patrolmen are trained, that the investigations are taking place. He has to oversee all that, as well as maintain the policies and procedures, the budget, and a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that a typical business manager has to do. And that's what I claim as the sheriff is. He's a business manager up there, not necessarily a police officer. So, with all my experience on the county board and the village board and the school board, fire chief, I wrote many grants with that Leva Fire Department. Was successful with a lot of them. I've been the head of the Leva Broiler Festival for 15 years. A lot of experience in fundraising. I think I can bring that experience to the sheriff's office to help maintain current programs that we have without necessarily raising the budget as well. I'm a big believer in researching for free money and getting it, because if we don't, somebody else will. So I'm hoping that my experience there will help as well if I'm elected as your sheriff. So my opponent talks a lot about drug abuse, and we definitely have a drug epidemic in this county, as does the state of Wisconsin, as does the whole country. And I, as a sheriff, I will put just as much time in drug investigation as any other sheriff would. But I also know that I have to make sure we don't get sued because of our jail, that our dispatch center is able to communicate with all our first responders and EMS people in the county, and that policy and procedures are updated. My opponent doesn't have any of those experiences, and for that, I kind of brag that I believe I'm the best candidate for sheriff, and if you can see fit to say the same thing, I'd really appreciate your vote on November. So I appreciate your time here tonight, and I have a Facebook page and a website listed on that brochure. You can email me from there, and I certainly take emails anytime. If any of you know police officers or former police officers, they've all got my phone number, and you can call me at any time as well. So I appreciate the time here tonight.
Good luck.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in, Brett.
You bet.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
If any of you guys have comments, questions, just feel free to reach out to him directly.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Go Brewers. I'll text you the score.
Did you
Oh,
see
thanks.
Miley pitch one batter and they took him out?
Yeah.
Tonight?
Yeah.
I forgot the game was on until Rob started talking
One
about it.
batter, they took him out.
He walked.
They just had a
They're saving him for tomorrow.
Oh,
Oh, sure.
Miley for tomorrow.
was it?
Good luck.
Thank you very much. All right.
So they have to win now.
It was 1-0, right?
All right.
Well, with first game in Milwaukee.
All right. Public comment. We have Rick Niemeyer.
Yes. Yep.
Rick's running for district attorney. Same election in November.
You
Same
want
thing. Give you a couple minutes. Rick, we don't take any questions. We don't ask any questions. If they want any questions answered, they just reach out to you directly.
Okay.
We don't want it to really be a public forum of we're supporting one
Certainly.
or the other. We do appreciate you coming, introducing yourself.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, Rick.
Thanks. As he indicated, my name is Rick Niemeyer, and I'm running for Trumpeldor County District Attorney. Thanks for letting me be here today. Just going to introduce myself, say a few words. I know you guys got a lot of business to do, so I won't keep you long. Just want to let you know my background. I grew up on a dairy farm in Berry Mills, Wisconsin. If you're not familiar with that, it's down by West Salem, La Crosse area. There, graduated high school from Onalaska Luther, went to college at the University of Wisconsin in River Falls, and then graduated law school from Hamlin Law School in St. Paul. Shortly after graduating law school, moved back here to raise my family. I have 3 children, 2 adult daughters. My eldest daughter and her husband and their 2 children live in Spokane, Washington. He's in the Air Force, although currently in Afghanistan, and so they are currently stationed in Washington. And then my second daughter and her husband, they live in La Crosse, and then my youngest, he's 15 and he lives at home and he's a sophomore at West Salem School District. Also, after moving back, after going to law school, I started working in private practice in the Sparta, Wisconsin area. And that's where I did the bulk of my private practice work, is where I've been for a lot of my practice. I've been practicing law for just over 17 years. So working in rural communities, I was very familiar with all areas of law. But the one area of law that I primarily practiced in for over 15 years is criminal law. I've handled hundreds of criminal cases over my career, anywhere from disorderly conducts to drug cases, sex assault cases, and homicide cases. So I've had a wide variety of different types of cases, so I'm very familiar with the procedures as well as the substantive criminal law area. I also litigated in numerous jury trials, both criminally and civilly, about a dozen criminal trials, maybe about half a dozen civil trials. So I'm very comfortable when it comes to being in a courtroom, talking in front of the judge, talking in front of a jury, that type of a thing. So I have that experience. As of July of 2017, I came to work for Trumbull County and have been their corporation counsel ever since, and that's the position I hold as of today as well. As corporation counsel, I advise the county board and the various departments on legal matters, could be any wide variety of them. Also handle the child support cases, the mental health cases, and the guardianship cases. So that just is a brief background as to who I am. Many of you probably heard over the last year, just a lot of the reports that have been coming out of the district attorney's office. You know, I wasn't looking to switch jobs, but as those reports were coming out of the DA's office, it just kind of prompted me that I have the opportunity to offer Trumbull County kind of an alternative choice to the current situation, kind of a clean slate, so to speak. And so I just felt I felt very strongly that I should put my name in there and run for district attorney. Recently became a resident of the village of Trumbull. As some of you may or may not have heard, I've not always been a resident of Trumbull County. Just a really brief on that situation. My 15-year-old son, when he knew I was looking at becoming corp counsel, his biggest concern was if he's going to have to start over at a new school as a freshman in high school. Concern for him, valid, very valid. And as parents, you know, we're always trying to balance what we think is best for our kids with what our goals are for our career as well. And at that time, we made the decision to stay, and we lived in Onalaska. As district attorney, there is a residency requirement, and so we are making the move, and we actually have already made the move before the election results are even in, because it doesn't matter what the results of the election are. We're making Trumbull County our home. He's still concerned about the school district. We're going to make it work where he's going to go to West Salem. No offense to the Trumbull County schools. That's just one of the things that we decided. And if all goes as planned, he'll have his license in about a month, and then he can drive himself to and from school. So that'll work out fine. So that's the issue regarding residency. And really the only reason I bring it up is I don't want it to be viewed as I'm any less dedicated to the position of DA or to Trumbull County than any other candidate. I wouldn't be moving my family here if that weren't the case. So again, that's kind of a brief background. There's more information you can find if you follow the links that are on the information I handed out today. If you have any questions, please reach out. I, again, would appreciate your support, and ask for your vote on November 6th. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Rick.
Thanks for letting me be here too tonight.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Once again, if you guys have questions, comments, just reach out to Rick directly.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, have a good night. Yep.
Any other public comment? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Presentations, we have a gentleman here from Custer Farms. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Could,
You keep it under an hour, I told him, so
there's a bill somewhere.
All right. I've got, pass these around, I've got a brochure that tells our story. And there's three companies that reside at the same address, and I'll explain what they are and who we are. Custer Farms is, my father started a family dairy in 1943 on that location. And I'm going to go through real quick. We transitioned it into a grain operation in 1980, or in the early 80s. I served on the Wisconsin Soybean Association. I had an opportunity to travel. I served as president of the Wisconsin Association 1 year, and the desire to export grain really was planted in my heart and my desire to be a part of that. I was in China, I was in Brazil, and just really saw that vision. Well, early 80s put a big damper on that in our operation. We barely survived the crash of the early 80s for ag. And so anyhow, my brother, who was the dairyman, left in 1984, went in the ministry, and then left my older brother and myself, and I gradually bought him out. Today, my family owns 3 businesses. It's called Custer Farms Incorporated, it's a core business. We have a trucking business called Chippewa Valley Grain Transport, and then we have a grain merchandising division that is the one that is the buyer and seller of grain. We currently have a location in Connorsville, Wisconsin, and our location at our place, and we have just opened an international sales office in Minneapolis, and we are in the process of purchasing the Allied facility, or Arcadia, whatever you think what it's called, but right now Allied is the owner, and we're in the process of purchasing that transload facility from them. And
This would be right behind Red's Peanut Bar off of Van Buren Street, just to give you
so, like I say, my story's in there. I'm not so much here to do anything but to listen. We intend to be a part of the community, a complement to the community, and we feel there's some excess capacity through the actually yard for us to conduct some business. There already is obviously a transload facility through the Doomer Brothers in Buck Country that they own. We've dealt with them for years. We intend to be a complement to that business. Right now, our primary intention would be to load dried distillers grains out of this facility, but it will load virtually anything. But like I said, I just am here briefly tell you who we are, and I want to listen to some things that you would have as far as, and it doesn't mean this is the end of the conversation. As you think about this, you know, things that you would like us to consider, like us to do to make sure that we are a complement to the community. And I guess I'll just end with this. One thing that I'm especially proud of in this business is we are literally bringing millions of dollars of export money right into this local economy. And that's we're buying the products from local producers, and the money is coming into us from our foreign sales. And so it's just really something I always wanted to do, and you know, we are contributing to the nation's economy, but we're contributing right here in your location. So I'll end with that. Any questions, be glad to take.
Did you say you bought them out, or you're going to, or you?
We are in the process.
You're in the
we
process.
have an accepted offer to purchase.
Okay.
We are going to be closing.
Because I was trying to read and listen, and I'm in school, I can't do it. Okay.
So we're in the process of we'll be closing soon.
Okay, good.
Just the facility here, not the all of Allied, correct?
Correct.
Just- okay.
Yeah, just the transload facility that was built about 4 years ago. The green building there and a couple of acres.
Okay.
So that's not the propane tank thing, is that? That's
No.
a different thing.
That's just
strictly right
just
there.
building
Building
back
back
on
here.
Van Buren Street.
So, do you ever need?
Where the bins are, where the grain bins are, we are not. That's where the facility is, but we are not buying the grain bins. It's just the green building, adjacent to that.
You said
Grain
you're
bins
gonna
are owned by Pilgrims.
load dried distillers?
That's one of the products we sell a lot of.
Where does it get dried at?
Well, the distillers come from the ethanol plant, and
In Stanley?
well, we actually buy from all over.
Okay. But then you gotta dry it down, or is it dried?
No, it's dried. When we
Okay.
buy it, it's dried.
I just didn't know, if there was a dryer setup that you were thinking of
No,
putting up over here.
no, we really, I guess that brings up a good point. There are really no improvements that we intend to make to the facility. We run a clean operation, and there's a little bit of junk laying around there, but stuff. And we do intend to clean it up, and I think you'll be proud of us.
Is this trucking only or rail?
Rail. It'll come in by
Well,
transport.
and just to be clear, Chippewa Valley Grain Transport is going to be doing that's the logistics company, and they are the ones who are buying this facility. My other company, and it will say on the wall, be wheat and grain transport or transload facility, but wheat and grain is going to be the merchandising piece of that. So there will be two of the companies I have that will be operating this business. But if you happen to look and see who actually bought it, it's going to be the Chippewa Valley Grain Transport.
And you'll be handling both GMO and non-GMO?
We do. What we're handling here is totally dependent on, you know, these containers come in here for Ashley and they go back to wherever they go back, and whatever market is something we're trying to serve. It could be bean meal, it could be soybeans, non-GMO beans. Custer Farms produces non-GMO. I've been involved in that business for, well, back to my years when I was on the soybean board, and that was really what the direction. So we're a producer of non-GMO beans, and that very much is a part of our business.
Like I told you earlier, Ken, I appreciate you coming in and, you know, giving us the opportunity as a new business in town. Wish you luck.
Welcome.
And,
When it's done, welcome.
yeah.
Well, thank you. The only thing that the management there mentioned to me, there was a consideration of time when the buses are moving, that they were asked not to conduct business. Is that going to be expected of us? Does that sound right?
Oh, in
That
regards.
was prior to, probably to Bill and I, but we can go back, and if there was any, I don't think.
I don't know if there was any motion made to that effect or not. I know that there's not,
To my knowledge, no.
school buses you're talking about? There's
Right.
not an ordinance.
There's no
That-
ordinance, and
that I
it's
know
never
of.
mentioned about a time either.
No, I think they were more, it was probably just an agreement, probably between the school maybe and Allied,
School, I would guess.
you know, but that I don't know, I don't think it had anything to do with us, Angela, did it?
It may have.
We can go
I
back.
remember
Strikers.
conversation.
Well, anyhow, if something like that comes up, don't hesitate, and we aren't going to have so much traffic that we can't. We would love to, but that's not going to happen.
Sure. And I think that was more or less, they have some kids coming out of there at 3 o'clock or something to.
On a business, any business day, what's the average amount of trucks you figure will be coming into town?
Well, all I can say, there's about 200 containers that come in a week to Ashley, and they're gonna get taken off that train, taken somewhere, and be put back on the train. So, but that's all the business that we would do, or Buck Country. So for us, if we load right now, we hope to load between 20 and 40 a week would be, you know, that portion that we're hoping to capture. So it's not a lot of traffic, and it may be concentrated to a couple of days. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
But it's not.
So no intentions to load sand there? I know Allied had talked about it at once.
No, we were involved with our trucking business, and we were asked to get involved in the sand work out of the Chippewa location, you know, and with our trucks, and we have no appetite for that business whatsoever anymore. It's just.
Any other comments or questions?
Good luck.
We have Ken's information, welcome to the community.
Good to meet you, and thank you very much,
Thanks,
all of you. All right.
Move on to number 4A, approval of meeting minutes from October 3rd.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Feltus, second by Fetch. Comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Feltus.
Yep.
Fetch.
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Abstain.
Olson.
Abstain.
Carries. Item 4B, approval of meeting minutes
So
from
moved.
October 5th. Second. Motion by Feltus, second by Fetch. Comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Hang on just a second.
Feltus and Fetch.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get the abstains from the last motion.
Oh, I'm
For night.
Fetch. Okay. Feltus.
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Abstain.
Olson.
Abstain.
Fetch.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 4C, approval of meeting minutes from October
So
5th.
moved.
Motion by Fetch, second by Feltus. Clerk will call the roll.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yeah.
Feltes.
Yep.
Motion carries. Board and commission updates, we have none scheduled for this evening. Department updates, none scheduled. Public hearings, none. Item 8A, discussion and possible action on a stop sign on corner of Commercial Street and Cleveland Street.
I'd like to make it into a right turn, no stop, leave the stop sign there. It's right here in the corner, where the old
Oh,
gas
'cause
station.
you can't go left anymore?
Yeah, you can't go left.
So do we even need a stop sign there?
Would they wanna keep the stop sign there?
You still want the stop sign there.
After talking with Diana, they wanna keep the stop sign there, just make it a right turn, no stop. We have to amend the ordinance, I believe, to make it legal.
So then you would stop any truck traffic that comes and turns left. You still have that traffic if it comes through that gate.
There's not that much traffic that comes around there, is there?
It was asked,
There should be more right turn, no stops, in my opinion. But I know previous gentlemen didn't want as many right turn, no stops.
Does she know where it is in the ordinance? I'll look for it.
I don't know where it is in the ordinance, but I'll make a motion, we adopt the or amend the ordinance to add it, right turn, no stop,
Motion by Feltus,
I'll
is there a
second that.
second by Mazak?
On what?
in the corner here.
On this one, so you put in, you should put down the name of the street, right?
Cleveland and
Commercial,
Commercial.
Commercial.
to add it, a right turn, no stop. Bill, you'll find it?
Yeah, I'll look for it in the ordinance and
That's when you're coming this way and then going this way.
Right.
we'll make the amendment
You
and
can't go
then
left anymore, cause that's street. There's
Right.
no lot there, other than a semi-truck.
we'll make the amendment in the ordinance language and bring the language back for it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Wojni.
Yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Feltes.
Absolutely.
Mazak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Possible action to increase the Arcadia Public Library Visa credit limit to $5,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Feltus, second by Mazak. Comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Olsted.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yeah.
Feltes.
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Was that you, Joe? Sorry.
Angela, Doc made the motion, not me.
Item 8C,
They don't want the name.
possible action on utility commission reappointment of Ron Jacoby.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Feltus, second by
Did you move that around here or what?
That's for 5 years. You're on 8C.
Yeah.
You got the wrong version of the agenda there,
They do?
Fetch.
Yeah.
Yep.
As I said, I just grabbed it out right off of there.
At least two are the same. 8C. These are the same.
I get it. I'm playing work schedule.
This is to reappoint
Yeah.
Ron Jacoby.
Whatever.
Todd, you have a
It's H.
Yeah,
Yep.
can I ask a question? Being the utility commission is completely separate from anything that we do. Can someone else that works for the general fund be on the utility commission?
An employee?
Yeah, me.
I don't see why not.
How do we find that out for sure?
we just
And I'll
have to
take my vacation to go to their meetings.
we'll have to take a look at the ordinance and see what it says.
Cause I'd be highly interested in that.
And
Well,
whether or not-
yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of an appointment and an approval. I mean, it'd be no different than an employee wanting to be a member of any board.
How many people are on that?
5.
6.
5.
Well, yeah, 5.
So, what, Ron is up and they're just reappointing him, or
I asked him to be reappointed.
what happens if someone wants
We get
wants
one-
that position, then what do they do?
It's appointed by the mayor and approved by the council, so you would just have to let somebody know you're interested, would be interested.
But it's too late for this one.
Correct, but every year we reappoint, a new person gets reappointed.
Okay.
To keep some continuity, so you.
Bill, can-
replace them once
When
a
you're
year.
not busy, like in
Yeah, it's always best.
2064, can we look into that someday? Cause I'd be highly interested.
Yeah, you're always available to come to the meetings.
Yeah, I know, I've come to a few meetings.
But it's all, I mean, We kinda have something up, this answers a bigger point about people being part of committees. It's hard to find people to be part of any committees, and we have it out on the website. It goes once in a while on the Facebook page that, you know, always looking for public members to be part of committees. Because a lot of people don't wanna be part of it, so at least you get, you know, we can sit around the table and think of some people, but there's other people that you would never think of.
I just didn't know if it
interested
was
in being-
legal or not, or, you know, if it would be okay. But I would be highly interested.
We can take a look into it.
Yep.
When does it have to be appointed by, what date?
Well, we missed the vote,
We
it
missed
should
the
have been at
appointment,
the
September.
September agenda.
Okay. Okay.
We're not appointing multiple like we used to in a year. I think we're good, yeah.
And that's good, because then one
It's
goes off.
very interesting
Committee.
committee to be on, you learn a
Well,
lot.
it'd get a lot more interesting, yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Who, I didn't write that down, was that Joe and Todd?
I think it was Todd and Bob,
Todd and Bob?
right?
I did.
Yes,
Yeah, you did.
That's for the Ron Jacoby thing.
yes.
Bob, you seconded that?
Yes.
He did.
Okay.
Clerk will call the roll.
Fetch,
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Olsted.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So is that just for future, is there somebody up next?
September.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the seats rotate
Okay.
between the 5 members.
Item 8D, discussion of possible action on the resolution 2018-16. This is in regards to.
It's in regards to the Economic Development Administration grant. As the previous resolution stated, the council adopted a resolution for, you know, we asked for the maximum, I think we asked for like $6.3 million from the Economic Development Administration, with a match of approximately, I think, 1.4 million. And since the initial application, we've received an initial award for a grant amount less than what we had requested, which would then in turn bring our commitment up in order to be able to meet some of the projects that we're proposing to conduct. So, with that being said, if you read, you should have, Angela, did you pass that out? So what?
Resolution to move forward.
So what we're proposing here is adoption of resolution 2018-6, which amends resolution 2018-5, just changing the numbers from $6.3 million down to 5.973 520, and then changing the city's contribution towards that project to $1,558,220. And what that does, and the way that we got to those numbers, it's the 6th recital and the 7th recital, and then 8th recital, which have the changed language in it. And the way that we got at those numbers were we broke down our proposed project and really took the projects that needed to be done in order to meet the Army Corps requirements for certification. And then that was the first priority. The second priority was to hook up those pump stations to our current stormwater system so that we can pull the stormwater load away from our main lift station. And then we did have some extra street work and storm sewer work that were secondary to the requirements of the Corps, and those were taken out of the project. So we reduced the total project from, I believe, $7.9 million down to, I believe now it's 7.4, I wanna say, around there. So we reduced the project sum. That's 4.3. So our current project, would have a total cost about approximately $5.8 million.
Which reduces our share down to like closer to the 1.5.
Correct. So a couple, let's take a step back here. So previously we requested for 6.23 million. The award was at, I think it was like 3.9 million up to 5.9 million, but then there were some available funds of, that would bring our grant up to 4.3 million. That's not stated in here. We still want to try to get the full amount if more dollars come available, and that's why the amount is stated here. But because currently we're awarded at 4.3, our commitment from what increases from 1.4 to 1.5 million.
So moved.
Motion by Feltus, is there a second? Comments or questions?
So we can come up with money, that 1.5 then? That's
That
out
would
of
have,
budget,
yeah,
out of
that would
general?
have to, so there's still, in regards to the process, there are still a number of things that we need to do to submit to complete the application process. So once that gets completed, then in order to move forward in the project, we would have to go and bond for the $1.5 million as part of the project.
Right,
Oh, we have to bond for it.
correct.
So take it from your ice skating rink and your frisbee golf.
You keep taking it from my ice skating rink. That's not-
No other questions, the clerk will call the roll.
Feltus,
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Holsted.
Yes.
Fetch.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8E, discussion of possible action on resolution 2018-7. This is in regards to the CDBG that we are utilizing to help pay for well number 7.
Correct.
So moved.
Motion by Fetch.
Second.
By Feltus. Got an explanation on this, and some of the requirements that CDBG makes us do.
Yeah, so one of the national objectives of the CDBG program is the Community Development Grant Program. It's a federal program through HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And it's made available for communities that meet low to moderate income. And as part of that, and part of the conditions for accepting the grant, there is a federal requirement for fair housing, and to offer tenants or people that purchase homes a way to file a complaint if they have a complaint of non-fair housing action. So as part of the requirement, we're required to take on three, what they call three fair housing activities. And the three activities that we have chosen for our grant include the mayor sending a letter out to any of the businesses that are associated with housing, whether that's rental or purchasing, and informing them of our fair housing ordinance and the policy that we have in town here. The second activity would be a proclamation or a resolution, in which we are proposing a resolution. And then a third activity would be to provide and put out posters and put out information on fair housing, providing them with ways to submit complaints. So we've done so on our website. We have a postcard and flyer that people can fill out and submit. They can submit it by email to us. And then there's a procedure of investigation if there is a fair housing complaint. And we need to meet those in order to continue to receive dollars from the wonderful state of Wisconsin and the federal government towards our projects.
And if you don't meet them, you don't get the money. Pretty simple.
Oh. Cool.
No other questions, the clerk will call the roll.
I have one.
Go ahead.
Was the 2018-6 and the 2018-7 written by attorney?
Yes, they've gone through.
Well, I
review
saw
by-
the whereas, so I took that for, okay.
You are correct.
Sorry, okay.
That's lawyerese.
Okay.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mazak.
Yeah.
Wojni.
Yes.
Holsted.
Yes.
Fetch. Feltus.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8F, discussion of possible action for mayor to sign access license agreement for
So
the
moved.
Bosey property.
Second.
Motion by Feltus, second by Fetch.
So I just wanna also add that, as part of the motion, it should also have that it be transferable upon written consent, upon sale of the property to Arcadia Properties. And that closing is set to happen October 26th. And then contingent on the city receiving an access and construction easement across the property on Exhibit B for a future extension of Jefferson Street.
So basically, your motion should read like the recommended action that's in the packet. Is that
Correct.
okay with the motion in the second?
This,
Do you wanna give a brief
Yeah, I
rundown
can give
on
a
it?
brief, so this, section of property is in regards to, if you, you have a picture in your map.
Yep.
Right behind the Arcadia Motel, there's a small section of Jefferson Street. I think it's about 78 feet. That is Jefferson Street. Now, there's a small segment of road that continues on from there to the property in Exhibit B, which is the Melvin Bosey property. It's kind of landlocked in the back there. There's not enough road frontage for that property to be developed. Our current ordinance requires at least 100 feet of road frontage for it to be developed. We've discussed it with DOT, and DOT is not, will not allow an access off of Main Street, and they've actually recommended an access off of Jefferson Street. Well, we took a look at it, and we dug in the records, and that little path that runs from the Jefferson Street extension to that property is not a road. It's not, it's not meant for public access. I don't know when it was put in, and I don't know why it was put in. But that's all part of park, the parkland, and that park was purchased with federal funds, and as part of that, any kind of use of that property, not for park purposes, is basically a violation of the requirements of that program. Therefore, in exchange for the access and construction easement across the Bosey property, we looked into it to provide this landlocked property access for maintenance and for to continue to utilize the property as it is utilized now, which is not for anything. We recommended an access license agreement. We can't provide an easement to anyone across this property without the signature or an approval of the DNR, the Secretary of the DNR. So therefore, looking for a way to try to get access to this property, this was the most logical way to do it. Now, where the Jefferson Street extension comes in is that if in the future, should we ever extend Jefferson Street across, the city would have to either replace the number of acres lost for that road across that parkland to get Jefferson Street through, or make a pitch or a proposal to DNR that the road across that is for park purposes. And that's kind of where we are.
So is this looking at being developed immediately? And if so, what would be in there?
It would not be able to be developed unless there is road frontage through there. So that's the first hurdle. The second hurdle is that property is relatively low, so sewer is hard to get there. There is some stormwater issues.
The Bosey property you're speaking of.
Correct, and I talked to Jason Lockington, who owns Arcadia Properties. He's understanding of that. And he's understanding that he would never be able to develop it unless, a road gets brought to there. He said he's okay with that.
So there's a possibility of a road there as an extension of Jefferson sometime?
Someday in the future, I can't put a time on it, nor can I put,
A
a
reality?
cost or a reality to it.
And so now we sold this to Jason.
He's in the process of selling it.
Okay.
So, which, this?
That,
Yep.
this is subject
Okay,
property.
okay.
And the DNR, or the DOT won't give an access off of 95.
Correct.
So they gain access for lawn mowing and maintenance purposes.
Correct.
So as of right now, Jefferson Street stops at the end of the last Arcadia motel room?
Correct.
Where that
Where
that
that
road
drops
narrows,
off
yeah.
right there, that's where it stops.
And the reason why this has not been an issue before is because Melvin house is right next to that property, so he accesses it
From his own
from his
property.
own property.
Okay, so the people that have been using that for access to their garages or whatever, is that gonna stop?
Well, technically, they can't use it as an access to their property.
They've been using it for 40 years? Yes.
Yeah, that's an issue, cause there's, properties that have, a garage that, butts up to it.
Yeah.
Well,
So technically they can't use it, but it's like,
well, no matter what you do tonight, isn't gonna change the access of how it's being operated now.
Correct.
And we're not, basically, we're saying the property, the Bose property, when this sale goes through, they'd be able to access that road that's going across the city property now.
What this license does, it provides Melvin Bolsey and his wife access to that property and transferable upon the sale of the property to Arcadia Properties. That's it.
A license to use it,
A license to,
it's still city property.
still city property.
So the action taken tonight doesn't inhibit any of those properties utilizing like it currently is. They should actually probably all have
They should all have
the
licenses.
same license that we're granting tonight.
Correct.
because I have interest in one of them, so,
I know.
and I don't wanna go there. Should you just beat her under glasses? Yeah. My sister I could handle, the other one maybe not so much. Don't put that in the paper. So they
She's
can,
used to whooping you around after all
so
those years, right?
so they can continue to use that road, that path or whatever you call it.
This really isn't affecting, it's basically stating,
Who plows it in winter? You?
Yeah, I plow the Jefferson and I always made one pass just to the end of the blacktop. And then Melvin took care of it with his little tractor.
Okay, I'm just curious.
The proper way to do this would be to get a license agreement with all the property owners along that section.
maybe we should
I
look at,
think,
And then,
Before
and
we
then
vote, I guess.
do,
I agree.
and then do some kind of road improvement, because that, there's liability on there for the city, because it's city property, we're granting access through it, but it's not a road. And it doesn't meet city specs. So the next step would be to get a proper street through there. And there might be grant dollars available because it is federally funded parkland. We
but
just have to
however,
make,
if we make it that way, then
we have
just
to make
because
an
it was
argument.
purchased through the DNR,
We have to make an argument that that road is specific enough to provide access to the park and parking to the park, which currently is non-existent.
Wouldn't it be great if we could own that property in that corner? So we own that Jefferson Street part that goes back? Just a comment.
So, yeah, I mean,
Really, the action taken tonight wouldn't, what the question really is the action taken tonight inhibit any of those people from utilizing the property that they currently utilize and how they do it now?
it doesn't, no, it
Should we,
secures-
okay, so it does not.
Correct.
Should we look at getting a license agreement for all of them to do the same for the future?
Before we vote on it?
No, I don't think
You can vote on them independently.
independently, because some people may not use it and don't feel the need to have a license agreement to use the back of their property that way.
Well, I know one thing, if I own these properties, I'd want it,
Right,
because
it gives
their
access.
lots are all big enough where they could put an extra garage or shop up.
And that's what Haynes did.
Yeah, I know. So,
So I think we're fair to vote on it tonight, because it's not changing how their property is currently utilized.
So they can continue to use that road as it is
Correct, but we
before
should-
this meeting?
Yes, but we
Okay.
should approach all of these property owners and ask them to do that, to change it so it's done the right way. So future councils don't decide to change it and leave somebody out to dry.
How many acres is this subject property?
I believe
5
it,
properties.
the subject property is about 2.9
Yeah,
Nine
she,
acres?
she's like Kyle Haynes.
Pardon?
2.9 acres.
Yeah, okay. This is this.
I don't know, what was this?
Leroy,
Hmm?
Keith, and Finnegan.
Phyllis Wolf doesn't.
Yeah, Alvin owns this.
The people on the other side of the equation don't.
So,
Okay, explain what the license, the term license in this thing is for? I mean, so people can
The lic-
access or
the
to
license,
use this?
yeah, the license is a tool for which the city can use to issue rights to a property without ownership or changing the deed.
So there's multiple properties.
Yeah, you would have multiple license agreements with each party.
right. So the city is granting access, a license, across our property for maintenance. And we would have to do the same for all those other property owners. Which should have been done years ago. I would imagine people thought why it wasn't done, that thought that was a city
Well, and
street.
it's important to recognize that it's a license for access, not that it is road frontage. Because what we don't want is development on this property without the proper road frontage there. Because it's, as you can imagine, if there was development here, there would be no way for a fire truck to get back there.
Now we're talking about the property, the subject property of where this license is.
Do we need to look into this further before we vote on it?
I don't think so. I mean, again, this license does not have an effect or impact on any of the other property owners. This is specific to the subject property.
Okay.
This on here.
Right.
But we
It
should,
ends right here.
But we should look at independent license agreements to the other properties. And cause they need to have separate license agreements. We can't generally provide a access agreement to the public, because I don't know how you would make that work with a license agreement. The right way to do this is, again, in the short term, license agreements with each of the properties there, so that they can at least access their property, those that need to. Now, we should, I mean, if I would be cautious about issuing a license agreement to those that are not currently using it, because it would provide them a reason to need it, to use it. So if they're able to fully access their property without it, I would recommend against a license agreement. If they're not able to access their property and their property is being inhibited by not having a license agreement, then I would recommend in that case providing a license agreement. The long-term goal here is to eventually get a road up to spec across that so that they can utilize the property to the full extent. That would be the answer here.
So if I get asked tomorrow or the next day when this comes out, a license agreement will allow them to access to their property as it is today. Is that what I tell them?
Correct.
Okay, then I'm good, okay.
Comments or
That makes
questions?
sense? Clear?
And this is just for the Bolte property, right?
Correct,
Correct.
this one tonight is,
Which is
How-
what?
why this wasn't handled 40 years ago, Joe? No idea.
I
Again,
don't think
I
any
don't
of us
know.
were here.
40 years.
Doc, you'd be the only one that'd be,
I've just turned 40.
And I don't know when that road was, I mean, that alley or.
that would be a
whatever
question
was
for
put
some of
back
them
there.
on that road, like Phyllis or Leroy or,
Yeah.
okay.
See, we learn something new every day.
So this is just for the subject property for right tonight,
Correct.
okay,
Clerk will call the roll.
Wojni,
yes.
Olsted.
Yes.
Fetch,
Yes.
Feltes,
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8G, discussion. After last, Councilman Adam Slusher's resignation after last meeting, Councilman Slusher resigned. I'd like to thank him for his service of 2 years?
2.5.
2.5 years. It's my belief in speaking with Terry about how we replace a resignation. I believe the state statute, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, the council finds a person and approves the person. However, in the past, they've leaned on the mayor to find a person and a replacement and the council approves it. So I wanted to bring it up for discussion of how we want to handle this. Or, did you find anything out from the election board that we could have a 1 year, we talked about posting it and having an election this coming April and serving 1 year, a 1 year term, and then they would be up for that spot the following year. Angela's still looking into that, I think, with the election board.
I called and talked to somebody at the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and she was not comfortable answering that question, so she sent me to her corporate counsel down there, and he has not returned my call. So, you know, if you guys choose, you know, to replace that person, I need to find out whether that would just be until the April election, and then we'd have Joe's 2-year seat on there, and then we would have Adam's seat as a 1 year. I'm waiting to find out if that would happen, or if you guys have if you have the ability to make the decision that it would just serve out the term until 2020. I haven't gotten that back, but you guys will need to find a candidate.
I always thought the way it was done in the past was we found somebody and they just served out his seat for the term.
This term,
and then
yep.
Sure.
If they wanted to run, they ran.
What's the luck of finding somebody?
Any volunteer?
I've asked a couple that people thought would wanna do it and
Nobody wants to do it, right?
That's why we're here.
how about you, Joe? Any
I
ideas?
didn't feel comfortable.
Any ideas?
Any ideas?
I know he's waiting for me to say, but I won't say it.
Well, we got a meeting next
No, no.
Tuesday. Can we think of ideas? Can we act on this next Tuesday?
Yeah, this is really at this point, we can operate obviously with 5 of us. It's not that it has to be filled immediately, but I don't feel comfortable,
Yeah, okay, that's.
I did not feel comfortable bringing someone here for approval when really it's the council's decision. But like I said, the council also, in the past, in speaking with Terry, has said, ask the mayor to go out and find somebody to do the replacement. But I said, without asking you to find people, I was not gonna do that, so.
I have a guy in mind, but I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. That'd be Bob Erickson.
That's who I had in mind, too. Bob Erickson?
I don't know.
That's next door neighbor to Adam, right?
About doors.
3 houses down.
Kid backyard to the.
And the other guy thought it was Mark Corporal.
We probably
To
should,
the church.
we probably shouldn't mention names.
How about Bremer?
Exactly, we shouldn't.
No.
No,
We
I-
shouldn't mention names.
I didn't mention his name.
Do you have any ideas?
Yes, I have ideas, but I'd rather not share them.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea.
If we get some ideas or we get some names, can we bring them next week, or how do we
Right,
get
and
them
I-
to you, or?
Yeah,
We should
or get
contact,
to her?
contact the person and see if they're interested.
Right,
And if they are, then we'll bring their name
You
in.
know-
that's,
when I was first elected, when I was first appointed to the county board, I took Ray Seiler's spot, when Ray moved to the nursing home. And they had I know, I think I might have been like 26 or 27 at the time. But they actually had like an application type process, so there was multiple people. And I interviewed with the county chairperson, and the chairperson, then took it to the full board. So I would imagine, I would see it being the same way, so if you have 2 or 3 people, maybe we have some sort of a small discussion, obviously it's an idea, and you pick one of those people. That's how I would see it happening, but I would be up for different ideas.
because I don't get over that side of town too much, so you guys
Well,
like to
traffic
come
gets
up.
bad over there, Bob, so you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
My bike doesn't go that far.
I like that idea, hopefully there will be people to discuss and choose from.
Right.
Because it kind of brings up the same thing that Riley brought up earlier, is, some people are not aware of what is going on, are interested, or how to go about it, whether it's different committees or the council, so.
And we need someone for the planning commission.
Yeah.
And board of zoning appeals, just since Devin's ready.
Wanted.
Yeah,
We kind of have a wanted ad out there on
because
our,
there's Slusher's on there like 3-4 times, so there's gonna have
So-
to be additional.
you guys think of somebody, if you wanna share them with Bill or myself,
Okay.
we're meeting next week again, we can maybe compile a list.
So we could contact the person, and if they say yes, then we bring it either to Bill or to you, or to Angela.
Yeah.
Okay,
If that's okay with
I think that's
I didn't
fine.
wanna bring somebody here and say,
it's fair.
I'd like to
Everybody,
appoint this
look
person.
around, you see if they
You
don't
know,
have
that's
some.
fair.
Okay.
You got questions, comments?
Makes sense.
But anyway, I think everybody knows, I'm sure Adam had told everybody, but he's moved out of the city. It wasn't anything to do with anybody here, it's just, he's no longer in the city of Arcadia, so.
Can we annex that area?
I told him that, and he wasn't real happy, I can't really say what he said verbatim, but there were some choice words, I'll say that.
Well, I told him that too. I said, we already got land. We're just gonna keep going that way.
We're not too far, he purchased straight up, right up in here.
That way we could develop the well up by the wall.
He was real quick to give me his thoughts.
Because R said they left everything in the house for him, and,
Yep,
Mhm.
he was moving ready, turnkey.
Just keep going up.
walked
the
out,
hill
and if they
till we
need
get
stuff,
around.
they're living with the kids for a while till they decide what they wanna do.
Yeah, I think we all wish him this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wish him the
Yeah,
best,
yeah.
so. He'll be around. Item 9A, approved bills of general
So
fund
moved.
amount
Second.
$181,446.79.
Not to exceed.
Motion by Feltes, second by Mazak.
Not to exceed, yeah. Is Davey in here?
They are not.
No,
That's usually
first
the
time.
first. No, it's not the first
Not
time.
the first time.
No,
We've had multiple here lately.
Productivity Plus, is that a new company, or,
Value.
okay,
We've been having a lot of bad luck with one lawnmower, so.
okay, I just, the
Everybody
name
heard who
just
that is?
jumped out at me, okay.
Value implement,
mm-hmm.
just so everybody's aware. Any other questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Colstead,
Yes.
Fetch,
Yes.
Feltes,
Yes.
Mezek,
Yes.
Wojni.
Yep.
Motion carries. Operator licenses, I don't believe we had any.
Yes,
That's here.
wasn't there 5 or 6?
Mine didn't print that.
I didn't see
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see any.
Oh,
Whoever pending, right?
I don't think so.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I just printed mine. Future
Do you have
agenda
that,
items?
or no?
No, I didn't have that. Future agenda items? Anybody's got any, sharing with myself, Bill or Angela?
The usual.
I was gonna say for future items, people that have pumpkins, after they're done, if they would slice them, break them or whatever and drop them off in the deer park. That's what somebody said that they would like to have the pumpkins brought down there. But it's not a future agenda item.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know about that. If you get too many down there, you're gonna have some overeating problems with those critters.
Yeah, I don't,
You can.
I don't, I think it's good, but I don't know if we need 150 of them down there. That's,
Compost pile. We'll take them to Bob's.
we can discuss this later. It's
Okay.
Yeah.
Future meetings, we have a meeting Tuesday the 23rd at 5 o'clock. Yeah, Wednesday, November 7th at 5.
I just want to add a quick note here. So, the meeting on October 23rd will be a budget workshop. We'll be going over the budget, line item by line item if you'd like to, or section by section, and then we'll be discussing that. Angela and I are trying to hammer down a budget hearing date, and we're thinking about the 21st of November. Now, that is gun season, gun deer season,
In the day before.
and the day before Thanksgiving. So, a couple options here would be to go to the 28th, which then puts a meeting, two meetings, 1 week after another, because we have a meeting on December 5th.
I think it'd be better to do the 28th if anybody's traveling or anything like that. It's nice. to
Is
meet
it
you,
possible to move them, cause the 21st would be the second normal meeting of the month. How about that Monday the 19th? Cause then we could get the bills approved, we could have the budget hearing.
but I'm fine with that. I think a lot of people, if they're traveling for Thanksgiving or have family in town, they come on Wednesday.
Yeah, the
Like,
19th,
yeah, go.
that would work.
I
That's
think
the,
it gives more people time. Is that okay with everybody? Sure. 19th. Marlis?
it's gonna be.
What's your schedule? I
it's
know
gonna
you're
be a
going on
hot day.
vacation.
Are you in the country or are you?
Boston, Duluth, Texas?
I'll try to be here on the
Are you
night.
gonna be in Luda's country?
That's around here.
Did we,
I think if we do the 19th and then
I'm
do the
in
28th for the budget.
Oh, that one. They don't eat bluefish.
Are we able to
Can we
do
do
the
the
budget?
budget hearing on the
I thought there was no
19th, and we'll
reason
make
to.
the rest of the meeting light? What happens is Bill's gonna be kinda iffy those
Oh
last
yeah,
couple weeks.
Bill's
and
gonna be
December 2nd.
He's gonna be playing Johnny Bench.
If we could just have it the 19th, that would be
If
best.
we do the budget hearing and everything, the 19th?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we should have a pretty good handle on the budget on the 23rd, and if we need to have another special meeting, if there's a big issue that pops up.
Well,
definitely.
now she says that's Monday Night Football, so. No,
Who cares?
Tuesday
Packer
the
and
20th?
plan.
we'll do it the 19th.
Okay, budget and regular meeting.
Five
Yeah,
o'clock.
TV.
Budget and.
We have a TV.
did we decide about the police thing? Is that next week too?
No, that is November
November.
13th.
Okay.
I think Angela sent something out for
Oh.
union negotiations will be.
Okay.
I don't think did they say the 15th for sure?
November 13th, I believe.
Okay. But that'll be coming out,
We don't know that.
we're waiting.
That means the
on
pressure,
complete
that means the pressure's
Yeah,
on.
you'll see your November calendar, be very full. We'll get to see lots of each other.
What you doing?
Gotta make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mesa.
Second.
No baseball scores, I taped it. No baseball scores. Nothing.
Is the fire station gonna?
It was 0-0 when it started.
Okay, straight.
Right, yeah.
Clerk will call the roll.
What was 0-0?
What's the minute?
Who seconded that?
Felches.
Fetch,
Yeah, sure.
Feltus.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Wojni.
Yes.
Holsted.
Yes,
Is the fire station gonna
Motion
get
carries.
painted this year or is it too late?
Tomorrow morning.
genetically modified.